this is what I tell our students all the time. Look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how freaking cool you are. It doesn't matter how many curse words you use, how cool your hair looks, so it's dyed pink or purple or whatever, how many piercings you have. It doesn't matter, like, how cool you are. If you're in all these other social justice clubs on campus, at the end of the day, the fact that you oppose abortion, which we know is the world's greatest human rights atrocity, the very fact that you oppose abortion is going to cause you to lose friends and not be liked. And people are going to attack you simply because of your belief on abortion. And you can do all these things to kind of offset it, right? I remember when I was in college, people would say, "Are you pro-life?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a pro-life feminist." Why did I use the word feminist after? I mean, granted, I believed in the feminist myth, right, that you can have it all. And I never felt like I was inferior to men because I was the highest GPA in my high school and my college, right? But why did I feel so compelled to use the word feminist after I said pro-life? Why do my friends who are Democrats say, I'm a pro-life Democrat? Why do they feel compelled to add another word after the word pro-life? Why? It's because we're signaling when we do that there's something wrong with the word pro-life. That there is a brand problem with the word pro-life. And so we have to kind of qualify our pro-lifeness. I'm pro-life, but don't worry, I'm also a feminist. I'm pro-life, but don't worry, I'm also a Democrat. Or I'm pro-life, I'm also an atheist. I'm just pro-life. Yeah, you might be an atheist, or you might be a Democrat, or whatever. Who cares? But why do you feel the need to say that? Have you ever thought about that? Why the hell do you feel the need to say that? Because when we do that, we're acknowledging there's something wrong with pro-life. That we don't want people to think of us as whatever we think people think pro-lifers are, which probably old, white, Republican, Christian, carries a cross and yells at cool women, right, in front of abortion facilities. That's kind of what I think we think pro-choice people think of us. And there are a lot of pro-choice people who think of us that way. I just think we should be more worried about the title pro-life and less worried about all these other qualifiers, because when we start adding in these qualifiers, it actually starts to divide us. We start fighting over tactics and strategies in the pro-life movement, and the identity politics starts to come into play, and the second thing starts to become more important. There was a pro-life feminist during the Donald Trump election who I screenshotted this because I thought it was such an important reminder. I sent to some of our team members. I said, this is a reminder of why we need to be careful of saying I'm pro-life, and because she was arguing about Donald Trump and why she wasn't going to vote for Donald Trump, and she said, but I'm a feminist first. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I would have said you were pro-life first because you were a pro-life feminist, but that second word, especially in identity politics, starts to take on shape. Why is it that I was talking with a pro-life Democrat the other day who said, I'm done with Democrats. I've tried so hard to change the party from within, to change the direction of the party, to make sure pro-lifers are included in the discussion, right? But it's not working. And it's funny because this other person and I, we've had a lot of disagreements over the past, and it's usually over that. It's not over pro-life. We agree on the fundamentals. It's that Democrat and I'm a Republican, and we disagree. And I think there's been times, and this person might disagree with me, but there's been times where pro-life Democrats will vote against the interests of the pro-life movement in order to advance the Democratic agenda, right? The interests of the Democrats. Case in point a good example was Obamacare, where you had a lot of pro-life Democrats say that they supported the American Affordable Care Act, ACA, Obamacare, because pro-health care is pro-life. But what we knew going into the vote, we knew very early on that Obamacare was going to be the largest expansion of abortion ever. The Planned Parenthood's funding was going to skyrocket, which it did. It went from $300 million to over $500 million in the course of 1 year. the HHS suddenly ruled pregnancy a preventable disease because now contraception had to be paid for. Hormonal, potentially life-ending contraception had to be paid for by healthcare by employers to their employees, and we've just had all these conscience rights regulations and lawsuits and Supreme Court decisions because of Obamacare, because of this. So I think that's really important to talk about, is like these qualifiers. And so I think we as pro-lifers, we have said, we're pro-life, we're pro-woman, and so we have to have these discussions about, yes, of course we're feminists, we're pro-women in the workplace, and we want women to have blah, 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 but we've stopped kind of talking about what happens to families and the importance of families. And I think we need to start paying a little bit more attention to that, folks. I think we need to be talking about that a little bit more.